Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents and the first of two COTCs ahead of Game Week 8. I'm delighted, firstly, to introduce to you our Brighton and Hove Albion correspondent. It's Sam Murray. How are you, Sam?
I'm good, thank you, James. Hope the listeners having a good week so far.
Good man. They will be, or I was as well, till I realised just how many points Bart Verbruggen's got this season. Our other guest goalkeeper's got a few more points this season. It's our Newcastle United correspondent. It's Simon Bibby. How are you, Si?
I'm good, thanks, James. Hello to all the Isak haters out there. Hope you're doing well this fine afternoon.
Fine. We'll talk Isak in a bit if you want. Can we talk Jekyll and Hyde first, Sam?
Yeah,
They must drive you insane, mate.
yeah, usual stuff. You think I'll be used to it by now, and you think this time it'll be different. No, no. Obviously, beat Chelsea, beat
You
City,
won
and
you won 2 games to 7 against and they're against Man City and Chelsea. Please explain, mate.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I can't decide if we're good or not. We feel a bit mid-table at the minute. We have a game where, I mean, against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, we weren't really in it for the first 50 minutes. We didn't do anything. Red card completely changed it, and we get the win there. And you think, oh, here we go. Um, I don't think there'll be many Brighton fans going to Wolves confident of winning against a team who haven't won all season. And in the end, we were lucky to get away with a point there. So, yeah, usual stuff for us. Beat the top teams and drop points that if
I,
we're looking at Europe, we shouldn't be.
I feel like there's more concern than optimism in the sense, obviously, the Wolves are the most recent result, but I think you nailed it there in the sense that actually, yeah, Chelsea were quite comfortable till the red card. And actually, in the win against City, it was only after Hertzler made all those subs. We spoke about it during the last international break. They looked comfortable at that point till the substitutions as well. So there's 2 games there that you've won against two good sides, but ultimately in the last half hour. And others have kind of slipped by. You were 2 up against Tottenham. You were winning going into injury time against Fulham. Defeats at Everton, Bournemouth disappointing. You've got a late point at the weekend. It's exactly what we said at the start. It's mixed bag.
Yeah, it's a right mix. And end of last season, I think the key point going into this season, Hertzler said it himself. I think Van Heck said it, it's consistency. We need to be more consistent and win these sort of games. And it's sort of the same old story. We're in mid-table at the minute, and that's about where we deserve to be. Some big games coming up. Yeah, it's annoying, it's frustrating, but yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Sire, are you happy with Newcastle's start or not?
I'd say you probably break our start into two parts. The first part was when we had no strikers. That wasn't too fun, couldn't score a goal. But yeah, gradually getting better. I know Hal likes to kind of chunk out the season into different parts, and I feel like we've already probably got through two bits, which is yeah, the whole transfer saga and then kind of bedding in the new players, the ones that have been available. And yeah, feels good. We're approaching the crunch part of the season now with Champions League. We all know what happened 2 years ago, so feels like we've already made stylistic changes, should we say, to the way that the team and Eddie's approaching games, and we've seen a lot more rotation in the squad as well. So you know what, you don't want to look at the league table at this point in the season anyway, and we're kind of mid-table, probably deserve to be around there. But yeah, I'd say like all in all, it's been all right.
Yeah, 6 clean sheets in 9 games. The only teams to score against you, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Barcelona. There's worse stats you can have than that, mate.
Yeah, goes back to again, like you've seen different versions of Eddie's Newcastle, and it feels like this is the one from like 3 years ago. Like potentially very confident in the defense. I think Chow's been a really good addition. You saw it again with Eddie, like not betting him in for the first couple of games, and then he kind of got chucked in when Shaw had that concussion issue a couple of games ago, and he's looked rock solid the last few games, and kind of feels like it's his position now, as it was always going to be this season. So. Defensively, like very good. Still feels like we're going under the radar. I said preseason, I felt like we were probably slightly overpriced, but looking at that now, it feels like that's probably bang on for a few of our assets.
Oh, right. Just I was going to say, when you say overpriced, you're referring to the defensive assets
Yeah, yeah, defensive
specifically.
assets.
Sam, I've got to get out of the way, right? This Brighton goalkeeper, I don't mind Bart Verbruggen. I didn't quite realise how it was bad while I was waiting for you two to join on this podcast. Bart Verbruggen has got 11 FPL points this season. My other goalkeeper, Lucas Perry, hasn't played since game week 3. He's got more. Nick Pope has got 30 more points than him. Rose at Sunderland, Robin Rose, has got 30 more points than him. Do I need to just jettison this out?
It's a pretty quite crazy swing for a goalkeeper. Yeah, we've looked shaky defensively. We don't keep clean sheets. We haven't kept a clean sheet this season. I think the last one was Wolves away last season, game week 35, 36, something like that. And when we do concede, he's not even making saves to make up for it. So it's a bit of an issue. You'd hope we start keeping clean sheets soon, but we haven't been great defensively. 4.4 million now for Bruggen. We've got good fixtures, so I suppose you just keep him and hope something changes.
Yeah. Well, you know what that is, don't you? It's Perry getting fit, so I can pick the other goalkeeper. That said, you're quite right, though. I think after the next couple, there are a few fixtures where I probably want to use him. I don't think I'm going to particularly dealing with that, but you do look at the difference in points and think, oh my God, if I'd have got that decision right. I should say in these games that you've had, the Chelsea, Tottenham, Bournemouth games, it wasn't my intention to play him anyway. The intention had been to play Perry across those games. And when I'd set up the rotation for the two of them, it was weird that I'd looked at I was going to play Perry more, but it landed nice for Bruggen. But then you're so Jekyll and Hyde, Sam. I don't really trust you in some of these easier games coming up anyway. It might be Newcastle at home where the clean sheet suddenly arrives. Would we be surprised?
No, we are impossible to call, really. Yeah, we don't know where the clean sheets are going to come from. I mean, own goal this week as well, wasn't it? In the end, so got a bit unlucky with that. Yeah, could come from anywhere. Clean sheet. We haven't looked like keeping a clean sheet though, to be honest.
There is something interesting we discussed about him because certainly a few of our patrons had asked about him, and we had a discussion on our Q&A a couple of weeks ago about Verbruggen, and we worked out why there was probably a bit of interest in him. It's the sense that all the keepers at 4.5 or below all had defenders within their teams that had a DEFCON magnet, except yours. And so therefore it made you tempted to look at the goalkeeper from yours.
Yeah, and even though the points haven't been there, if I was wild carding soon, you look at 4.4 the fixtures, and you're going to go for a cheap goalkeeper. He's still one that you would definitely put in that conversation. Our defence, like you said, we don't have those DEFCON players. Van Heck's the only standout option in defence. I think he's had DEFCONs in half the games, maybe 3 games so far. So yeah, it's not a monster like we've seen from these other teams. So it's kind of a Bruggen or Van Heck, and yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, DEFCON in the previous 3 before Wolves, but then only 4 at the weekend.
Yeah,
Now a lot of that's possibly down to chasing the game quite a lot, whereas I guess obviously Tottenham is, I think that was his second highest DEFCON, where obviously you were possibly holding on for quite a lot of the game. His highest was at Chelsea. So it looks like some of the more difficult games you might pick him up. But then if he's 4.4 defender, you're probably just looking at players from other teams, aren't you? That's the point.
yeah, most likely, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Would he be the standout of the defensive ones? I don't hear people talking
Yeah,
about De Kuiper anymore, despite his goal at Chelsea.
yeah. The Kuiper started the season, like I said, he looks solid. Nothing really got crazy going forward. Got that small injury, and then Kadioglu came in, and he's been pretty good so far. Kadioglu as well. So there you've got them sharing the minutes already there. And when De Kuiper came on at left back, Kadioglu moved over to right back. So then that you've got question marks at right back as well with Weaver, and eventually when Veltman comes back from injury, hopefully soon, you've got more names in there, so it's difficult. Dunk seems to be the first choice for now as well, next to Van Heck, but there's no reason to go for him over Van Heck. Lewis Dunk's been okay to start the season. There's been a few mistakes in there. I didn't think it was possible for him to get any slower, but he seems to be getting slower and slower every week. It's probably an injury away from losing his spot. I won't be too surprised to see Coppola or Biscaglia in there at some point this season. So yeah, in defence, it feels like Van Heck or no one really.
So if someone was on wildcard and said, Sam, you got a great swing of fixtures from game week 10. I want to go Van Heck or Verbruggen, you'd say,
I would say, God, I would probably say Verbruggen, as bad as he's been points wise. It's
wow.
gonna change soon.
I would like to remind you all that Sam's historical FPL performance is quite extraordinary, actually. He's a very good FPL manager, believe it or not. That's
Not
not
this
to
season.
underrate the talents of Simon Bibby here. But Newcastle have been very strong defensively. Nick Pope's now up to 5.1. Is that still viable, is it, Si?
It is for everyone other than me. Whenever I make a goalkeeper transfer, it always goes the wrong way. It's happened with Pickford at least three times in the last 5 years, where he started off terribly and then transfer him out and it goes well. So I would love to get Pope in. I think a Newcastle defensive double up was pretty rare. I haven't seen that in too many teams. I think I had Baker chatting about that he did that on his wild card from
I think he
above
did, yeah.
average.
He had a great week.
So yeah, we just look really solid. Like I think Pope he does what you want from a keeper in that like we give up shots, but good shots. In terms of DEFCON monsters as well, like our only real option is now playing left back, which means that he's no longer a DEFCON option. So depending on what happens with like Lewis Hall, and the fact that like Eddie Howe needs to play Burn, like he can't not play him. So if Botman and Chow are playing well, then he'll play him at left back and probably continue to use the excuse of easing Hall in, which is not really an excuse actually. It's relevant. He's picked up another injury, so yeah, I'd say Pope at the moment looks like the probably the best option out of our backline, particularly if you've got any janky keeper options. Like I'm on Cells at the moment and Dubravka and considering even just jettisoning that and save my wild card. Just feels like it will probably immediately pay it back over the next few games.
Is that Lewis Hall injury really bad for Dan Burn then? As in
Uh
FPL?
well, I mean he got an assist at the weekend, right? So
Yep.
it's bad from a DEFCON point of view. Like he hit DEFCON in the first two games playing centre back, then was massively under for the next two. I'm just looking at it now. Back up on Bournemouth away, and then he got four DEFCON points against Forest at home. So he's not going to get it from playing left back. So if you're on him, you're on it for the clean sheet potential and the occasional thing. He also, I think, is on throw-ins now as a on that side of the pitch, which means he's not in the box doing what he usually does from the left side. So yeah, it's taken a bit of a hit, I think, him being left back, but you got to be happy with his output and his kind of like position in the team if you got him.
Are we expecting Trips to have a run now then at right back?
He can't play every game. He's going to break down, I think, if he's asked to play midweek and weekend. So I don't know how Eddie's going to manage that. Maybe we've got a young lad, Leo Shahar, that was in the under 21s. Feels like he was potentially knocking at the door. He's been pretty consistent for the under 21s, so it feels like he should be in more squads. Kraft can play right back, I guess. So I don't know. I've just not really been that impressed with Trippier. I feel like even his ability on the ball has dropped off. It's not what it was. Like his ability to put in a cross doesn't feel like it's as impactful as it has been previously. You could see it against Forest as well. Like I think we struggled in the first hour. Like you'll know how to like play against Ange ball. We just didn't have that in our fullbacks, even with Trippier on the pitch. So no, I'd say his time's probably gone. Like Tonali's taking a lot more of the set pieces as well. Just feels like he's in there because we've not been able to get our first two choice fullbacks fit this season.
Jacob Murphy play there? If it was a back four, we've obviously seen him play right wing back. We know he can do that. Could he play right back?
He could do. I don't see it. And it would have to maybe take a couple of other injuries in the rest of the team to do it. He could potentially do it. I just don't think Eddie would put him in the right back. I think we're more likely to, if we had Hall come back, potentially play wing backs more often than not, which we have done more often than not this season, definitely more than last year.
So Share, we're not guaranteed to presumably get his place back from Chor now. So Chor and Botman both 4.9. Does that appeal?
I think it's still Dan Burn out of
So
those.
even though Burn at left back, you'd pay the extra.
I would just for the security, and he's gonna play all season. Botman is still he looks like he's fit and has got over his injury problems, but he was a bit in and out last season. Um, it does feel like Botman and Chow are probably going to be the first choice. I was expecting to see them straight away in the first Champions League game against Barcelona. He he didn't do that. He went with Botman. Sorry, he went with Burn and Shah in that game. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see when we've got our full complement back what happens. But you know he's going to be playing Dan Burn every game, so you might as well just go with that one.
What is it? Can you explain to the listener viewers what is it that makes Burns safe? Our Newcastle patrons keep saying this as well. But Dan Burn is the safest one. What is it about him that makes him safer than the others?
Height, leadership, qualities. He can grind through every game. Doesn't really make mistakes. Gets caught out occasionally with his lack of pace, but he's just like a glue guy. He's definite leader on the pitch for us, and our captain's Brazilian and runs around the middle of the pitch and the whole game. So you kind of need someone at the back that you can rely on and that can kind of control the team and give instructions to the rest of the team. And Dan Burn just does that. So like I'd say head and shoulders literally above the rest of the defense outside of Pope. If you were going to pick them fresh, I think I still probably would go for Pope right now, given the goalkeeper situation in the rest of the league.
So I guess even as well, if you go back three, he either plays left-sided centre back or left wing back.
Oh, Dan Burn at left wing back would
I
be
wouldn't rule it
that would
out.
complete. I wouldn't rule it out with Eddie. I
I'm just
don't
trying to
know
think
about
about
that.
this logically, Si, in the sense that if you're saying Trips can't play all the games, and obviously because your involvement in Champions League, that's good. At some point, that's going to be the case. So you either do something at right back that's not maybe comfortable, like Kraft or Murphy out of position or moving Child out, or you do what we've seen in a few games: go back three, play Murphy one side, and then play someone else left wing back. But obviously, predominantly that would have been Lewis Hall. And at time of recording, it does sound like Eddie Howe has said it's not going to be like a short term hamstring injury, is the latest. But he actually said in the same sentence, it's not short term, but it's not long term. Or I'm paraphrasing something to that extent.
Don't listen to Eddie's press conferences. I like the idea
Well,
of Chow
okay,
playing
it
right
was a
back.
quote I read.
Fine. I like the idea of Chow playing right back. I just don't know if he or Eddie would if he'd be that comfortable. I feel like, particularly when we play three, he steps out there anyway. I think Elanga might be more likely to play left wing back if we were to pick one. I don't know if he's did that for Forest at all. It feels like he'd be a potential option there. I think him and Murphy would be potentially quite exciting as wing backs if we ever had to play that. But yeah, back to the original point.
I
I think
suppose it's subject
Burns
to
the one.
opponents, but you even look at some of
Yeah,
the games coming up and you look at, say, Fulham, West Ham, Brentford, and you think, well, maybe we can get away with it in some of them. But those teams in the likes of Iwobi, or if Kevin plays, Jared Bowen, Somerville, Kevin Sade, Utara, if he plays, like they've all got good ball carriers. Like if you're going to play with players out of position and maybe go with a back three. So yeah, that I just find all that a little bit concerning in terms of thinking about Newcastle defensive assets, not quite knowing what that will be. And therefore, maybe you're right. Pope is the safest one. But I also said on one of the pods recently that Pope gives me the same vibes as Allison. Like he will pick up an injury at some point.
maybe. He seems to get more like the shoulder injury was a bit of a freak one, and that put him out for a while. I don't know. Maybe. I think the other thing that can give you confidence in the defense is just how well Tonali's playing. Like that, as long as he's sat in front of those back three, back five, back two, back one, doesn't matter what it is. If he's in the pitch, you should be pretty confident that we're going to have decent control of the game, and he's going to be helping that team out. So I'd still be confident in the defense, even if you're not sure like what the formation or setup's going to be.
28 starts last season for Pope, 15 the year before. But his record prior to those two seasons was near enough exemplary, actually. Sam, so I guess if we're saying as it stands, back four against Newcastle, probably what, V for right back, Van Heck, Dunk, Kadioglu.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. I think you could put the Kuiper or Kadioglu in there. Kadioglu's done well. So I think he kept the spot so far. Sounds good to me.
And for you, so I guess coming straight back off the international break, that would be an assumption that Trippier plays that game, would it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
be the back four
So
that you saw.
Trippier, Shaw, Botman, Burn is what we're
Yeah,
looking at. Okay. Midfield three, same as usual, Si?
yeah,
Or is that
no
going to get
change.
rotated more now? We've seen little aspects of that.
If Ramsey had been fit, I think you'd have seen less of Joel Linton this season. I think they would potentially be more matchup specific on who started in that position if Ramsey had come in and performed well and the results had been good. I think as it stands, it'll be those three. The only one is with Bruno. I think Bruno's the only one that's been called up. I don't think Joe Linton got called up. I haven't seen. I know Bruno has. That's a lot of mileage that it's going to be put on him. But if he's fit, will put his hand up and will play. So yeah, same midfield three.
How's Baleba doing, Sam?
Not great. No, still struggling a little bit. Subbed off at half time again at the weekend. I think that's the third time this season. Yeah, he's just not. He had such high levels last year, and he's just not getting back to those levels just yet. Hopefully, the break does him well, and you got to keep playing him. You got to persist with him in centre midfield because he will come good. But when Belieber's not playing well, we spoke about how important he is to the team. When he's not at his best, it just doesn't click in the midfield. So we do need him. We do need him back to his best, but he's not quite there yet.
Is it in his head, do you think?
Yeah, it's clearly affected him in some way. And every game he plays and he's not at his best, it knocks a bit more money off that eventual price tag.
Oh,
when
this
when
is
we do
Tony
sell
Bloom's
him as
plan,
well.
is it? I
It's
don't
not
think it
good.
is.
But yeah, we need him back to his best. We haven't seen that since all these rumours, so it's probably something to do with that. Yeah, he's got to keep starting, and hopefully he turns a corner.
Would he be playing even less minutes if it wasn't for, say, like Jack Hinchwood's injury and stuff?
Yeah, possibly. We miss Hinchelwood. I really like Hinchelwood, and when he's not in there, you really do miss him and do want a player like Hinchelwood in there. I think Ayari's done well this season. I think he's been one of our better players. Um, Gomez as well in there, who's obviously done really well in the cup, but in the league, it feels like we're missing something in there, and I'm not sure what it is. If it's a bit of creativity or just we're missing Belieber on top of his game, I'm not sure.
Yeah, Yari's getting some consistent minutes now, isn't it? It's essentially played near enough the full game the last four Premier League starts. That feels like he's almost first choice in that position now. I know he's very highly rated and he regularly plays for Sweden, doesn't he? So I'm sure he'll have some good minutes over the break. I feel like that's probably your strongest two at the moment, still, though. As much as you might be tempted to take Belieber out, I think you've said he's got to keep playing, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah,
And play
I think
play
so.
through it. Minter seems to be Sam, the only FPL one that's truly getting a regular mention. Go on then, sell him to people.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Minter. I said in pre-season, I feel like it's going to click for him soon, and it is starting to click. He's been the highlight of the season so far for us, definitely. He's becoming a really important player, not just going forward, but defensively as well. Really, really hard worker. We saw it in that Chelsea game. It's the 90th minute, and he's still pressing and he kind of made that third goal as well. Yeah, he's been really good. We've gone from having quite a few FPL options at the start of the season to really Minter is the standout now. Playing a lot of minutes, playing some minutes on the left recently as well with Matoma out. So he's got that versatility and he's done well on the left as well. The other options, I mean, we've got Matoma who's he's fine. He's got a foot injury. Hopefully, after a good rest over the break, he'll be all right. And Jorginho, of course, a few people started the season with him, and the returns just haven't been there. The minutes also are not great. Sharing those with Welbeck, so yeah, it feels like Minter's the choice, and I like it. He's so lively, and he's been the main threat for us against Wolves. The tactic was kind of just give the ball to Minter and see what he can do. It didn't work sometimes. Sometimes it did work, but he's always looks like our most likely player to do something. He's had a really good start to the season.
Yeah, I feel like he's got a level we can go to. Like
Mhm.
I look, he's a player I look at and I think, oh, yeah, a little bit like what we've seen with Semenyo over the last 12 months or so. Like I think everything in terms of your ability and your numbers you could provide could certainly
Yeah,
go up a level. I would kind of get a little caveat on his numbers so far this season. That I think if you take out the goal against Tottenham, which essentially has an XG of a penalty because it's an open goal, the data doesn't look that great if you take that out. But he's ticking over nicely. He's no double-digit hauls yet, but he hasn't had a return. He's had two twos, he's had a three, a four, a five, a six, and a nine. Like it's ticking over fairly nicely. 31 points from 7 games. It's kind of middle of the road, I think, for his value, but with the potential he can go up further. I
Yeah.
presume, say, he's a player you know relatively well, or did you not really see anything of him for Newcastle?
Yeah, no, we being one of our kind of more say high profile loanees when he was at Feyenoord, it's always good crack with the Newcastle chats because of Amiobi's record of sending people on loan. But he was really good there, and you could tell that he had the potential. And I think partly him not getting guaranteed minutes last season, and obviously our PSR issues led to him and Anderson being sold. It'd be interesting to see if Eddie comes out and says he wants Minter back the same way he did Anderson last week. But yeah, friend,
Bit
I agree with you.
cheeky.
I agree with you. I think levels to that kid. Um, Work rate. I think physically he looks stronger. He looks bigger than last season, and that's what I saw like last week when I was tempted to put him on my FPL team and did. So a bit disappointed he didn't return straight away. But I agree with you. I think he's like one that can go up at least a couple of gears.
Yeah, I did a draft pre-game week 7 on the weekend of Sam for wild carders, and I had him in it. I think he sits there quite nicely, and also think as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he almost feels like the only option from your team. Rutter owners presumably have got to sell if they're still there, are they?
Yeah, yeah, probably. What's he now? 5.7
7.
now. Few price drops in there. Yeah, wow. Yeah, he was always a bit of a if he started the season well and he banged it, he would fly. But yeah, it hasn't really worked out for him so far this season. He's always just a Welbeck injury away though from becoming our only like proper option up front. So you never know. But yeah, he's Minter seems like the only real option. Got Welbeck as well, who apart from a brilliant cameo against Chelsea, Danny Welbeck has been very poor so far this season. I'm happy with him being a 20-minute man off the bench. To be honest, he hasn't looked his best. But then again, Jorginho isn't really doing much when he's starting, especially as a number 9. I'm not sure that's his best position. He tries to drop in and he wants to get on the ball, and quite often against Wolves he was trying a bit too hard, taking too many touches, running into players. Just wasn't quite working. So yeah, I'm not sure what we do with that number 9 spot. It's up for grabs for sure. But right now, yeah, the minutes aren't there for Jorginho or Welbeck. Thomas had an injury. Hopefully he'll be back, but Minter's the one really.
Yeah, also feel like we're beginning to see a very slow integration for Shimas. There's occasional minutes coming now, isn't there?
Yeah,
In
yeah,
terms of if something had happened to Welbeck, I don't think we could now be certain that Shimas wouldn't be knocking on the door, being close to maybe playing. We should keep an eye on that at 5.3, really.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, I think it might take a while for him to really get going, and that's understandable. But he's looked decent. He came on against Bournemouth, and it's his first minutes. He looked quite heavy, barely touched the ball. It was kind of thrown in, but a bit better against Wolves. Definitely no worse than Welbeck's been. So I'm happy if they start sharing minutes, and one of them just needs to get into some form and start scoring some goals. Because it's a tough one. Yeah, we've got Zimas now though. Gonna start getting more minutes for sure.
But Brighton, you got Sam.
No one.
Yeah, this whole gig feels like if you're going in, it's Minter or no one. I tell you what, it makes me think that for the crowd who want a wild card around about 10 and 13, I think 10 is kind of the real point. You look at you and you think, oh, there's a run of 4 home games in 6. Those home games being Leeds, Brentford, Villa, West Ham. And the away games, each a rivalry game, Palace, which makes it a harder game for Palace than it does for others, and Forest away. Like there's a good run of fixtures there, Sam. So I think in 10, we'll look again. And by virtue, when you see that good run of fixtures, you go, hang on, Minter's the only one I'm interested in here. I think people will either go and buy him or they'll go and buy Arsenal or Palace players instead.
Yeah, I really like Minter with the fixtures as well. I think he'll definitely be a player. If you watch him, he'll definitely look lively. I'm not sure if the numbers will always back it up, but he really does get forward and he's always involved. So yeah, I wouldn't convince anyone to not go with Minter. I might even go there myself in a few weeks.
Do you feel like there is a significantly better midfielder than him under his value? I mean, for example, you've got Jaden Anthony has performed better so far this season. Casado's obviously knocked up a load of points. But when you look down the rest of the midfielders in that kind of under six zone, we're going down to Reinders is probably actually kind of the real competitive one with Minter in terms of price and points returned so far. The rest are all kind of DEFCON players or players not reliable for minutes. There's nothing exciting there. Minter's the one that looks exciting amongst that group of players.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it feels like a spot where you can be a bit different, do something a bit exciting, and Minter is that. If you've got the DEFCON players, if you want to keep the points ticking over, I think Reinders is probably the one I would still have over Minter if the minutes stay there, although the returns haven't been there for him either. So Minter's a punt, and it doesn't feel that risky, to be honest.
I could see Reinders owners, if Reinders has a quiet next two, looking at Minter maybe once we hit game week 10. It's interesting you mentioned DEFCONs as well, because I know he's only picked it up once, but he actually had 10 at Wolves again at the weekend. He's very unusual in the sense of kind of an out-and-out attacking wide player who will get the odd one. It won't be much, but there will be little bits in there. Did you say you've got him, Si?
Yeah, I got him for the Wolves game. Yeah, no, I saw that, and it was like I was looking at a couple. Who's on pens for if Welbeck's not playing for you?
No one knows. Off you go, Sam. Good luck, but that saved me a question. Go.
It could be anyone. If Milner's on the pitch, maybe Milner. Milner took the last one. Yeah, it could be any of them, to be honest.
I feel like he's got it in him. Whether he's age profile wise, he's still he won't get the dressing room clout to be able to take pens, but I feel like I would trust him to take a penalty. Well, would I trust him? I don't know. Maybe he's a bit too young for it, but he could definitely grow into that role. Yeah, I've got him. I got him for the Wolves game. I saw the run coming up. Also thought it'd be quite fun just to get him in ahead of this clash to correspondence. I'm just pissed about with FPL this season, to be honest. So any excuse to get him, but I do like him.
Why did you say this season?
Yeah, true. Every season I try and start like seriously, and then by this point,
about from about game week 2 onwards.
Yeah, you always get me into the second international week, and I'm just like, fuck it. As long as I beat my dad, same as every year. No, I just felt like it was him, like Paquetá's on pens around that price. He's a good pick, but West Ham are West Ham, and you don't know with the new manager whether that's going to change. It just feels like Minter's like his trajectory is only going to go in one direction. So I was checking to see how far off Bruno was from his points, but it's not quite at that level yet.
I think if I can have my two penalties on the penalties, if you start the same team against Newcastle, start against Wolves, I would imagine, Sam, that Danny Welbeck would take it.
Yeah.
Despite the fact he missed at Everton
at all. Yeah.
No, but I think that's who would take it. If Danny Welbeck is not on the pitch, quite frankly, no idea. Wouldn't rule out it being Dunk.
Yeah. We kind of go back to like the penalty shootouts we've had recently. Dunk always steps up for a penalty. Gruder took a good penalty in the shootout, but again, not guaranteed to be on the pitch. Could be any of them.
Yeah, we don't know, basically. So, Si, we know now who's on Newcastle penalties, or do we, or not? Or
it's Gordon. It's Gordon. I think Gordon is, with what happened with Isak and him last summer as well, he feels like he's, not performance-wise, but just status-wise, has elevated himself into like main dog territory, particularly in that front three. If Wissa was fit and in the squad, then potentially might be some debate, just given his age profile, and I assume he'd be number one striker and wanting to add to his tally. But I think it's Gordon, and then you saw like I was happy as a Woltemade owner to see him take. I mean, what a penalty technique as well. That was something else.
It was like something out of a computer game where he actually put the ball. You know, like when you used to actually be able to aim exactly where you're going to put it. Yeah, but if it had hit the bar, I don't think people would have said that. It's worth saying.
Nah, he's not hitting the bar. He's class, man. He'll do it to get. He looks absolutely fearless, that kid.
He looks great. So what you're telling me is you think if Gordon had still been on the pitch on Sunday, he'd have taken the penalty?
After bagging two in the Champions League, yeah, he would.
I would think so, but we seem to be in a different era now where it's like, oh, it's your 100th game, or it's your debut game, or it's your first
Nah, we're
start, or
not we're
you
not
ain't
Arsenal,
scored for
mate.
four.
We're not Arsenal. We don't do that shit. No, it's Gordon as the
I'll
main.
remind you of that when you do it.
But yeah, it's good to have both of them. I'm less. I mean, I've seen Gordon miss a penalty against Everton last season, but
Yeah.
his two were good this year. More kind of like traditional. I think he telegraphs where he's putting it a bit too much for me as a penalty taker. I think his. I like the idea of Baltimore's like style. I think it's less predictable, and when you've got these like goalkeepers writing down penalties and who's
But
shooting where, I
but
think
then
it
there's a
will help.
point. You play Everton in game week 13. Like it's not that far away. Pickford saved from Gordon at Everton last season. In that circumstance, if that's your next penalty, I don't think we can be certain that Gordon takes that.
In that very specific scenario, James, no, maybe not. Maybe Baltimore will take it then. I'm happy that they're both on, but I think the more encouraging thing was Baltimore getting the full game, whether that was because the international break was coming up and you felt like he could finally push him to that. But yeah, it's I kind of got him in after we signed him just because I needed to feel something, and I was a bit down about the whole Isak situation. But yeah, it's been great. It seems to be scored pretty much every game apart from
Do you want
the
to
Leeds one.
get anything off your
Do I?
chest about Isak now that you've mentioned him?
Nah, not off my chest. I'm just happy that it's going terribly for him and Liverpool look shocking and he's just been exposed as the rat bastard that he is. So. But I'm honestly genuinely delighted
So
that he's doing terribly. You don't want to know what I would like
no,
to
I
say
don't want to
about
know.
him. I can't commit to public record. I have a
No,
job
no,
and
that's
a
fine.
family to look after.
Size views and not necessarily the views of Planet FPL. I'll just also remind you that you bought a player who did exactly the same thing to Brentford, mate.
And look what happened to him. He's got an injury. So yeah, calm as a bitch. Just works in different ways,
Um,
I guess.
you're going to come on again, most likely, probably before Visser's back, I think. But you mentioned there about him being the number one striker. Are you therefore visualizing Voltemade playing behind him?
I don't think Voltemada's like, if you look at him, I don't think he's like a natural number nine. And I definitely don't think Eddie wanted to throw him into that role in the Premier League season one. I think he can grow into it. It's interesting. I feel like the way that Sonali's been playing and the fact that it feels like Joel Linton, even though he's still in our best 11, it feels like there are opportunities to move him out of that. Like whether there would be a slight stylistic change, and we just haven't had the opportunity to do that in pre-season. Like next pre-season, I wouldn't be surprised if it was more of a 4-2-3-1, and you've got Walter playing the 10 behind Wissa or someone else that we might sign. But he's doing good. Every
Yeah, I
game, I
agree.
think he's learning. His hold-up play is pretty good for a lanky bean. Pole. His touch is incredible. Like his link-up play is great. I think he plays quicker than Isak does. He's less selfish than Isak is. Um, I'm going to stop the comparisons there. You can timestamp this because I know Isak's going to turn out to be a great
Listen,
signing, but
the less compare he's looked really good, Si, but let me tell you, the less comparisons you make, the better.
yeah, fine, fair enough. Just let me have it. But no, happy. He's an all-round good character, good lad. Just to make a few last few comparisons, like yeah, not yeah, that's the last comparison I make. That he sounds like he is well liked and has a nice personality. Just leave
Okay,
it there.
I'm going to ask Sam a Newcastle question because I already know what you're going to say if I ask it to you, Si. So, like Sam, first and foremost, have you got any Newcastle in your squad?
No, I don't.
Have you used the wild card?
No.
Are you using the wild card imminently?
Hopefully not. But
My game week 13 friend, I can see you a mile off. Okay. Are Newcastle players on your radar?
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Which one most?
Um, well, I free hit in four, and I enjoyed owning and Pope and Woltemade. So probably them two on the radar. Gordon as well is in there. I wouldn't mind some sort of defense coverage from Newcastle though. Been pretty solid.
Okay. I'm going to have to ask you the question then, Si, but I already know the answer. Voltemade versus Gordon for wild carders.
I think Gordon's effort has gone back up to where it was previously. It dropped off last season and he had a lot of distractions. He's just quite been very shot shy still, which is not what I expected. I thought he would do more of the cutting in and shooting, a bit like we see from Barnes when he's in the team. But I don't think he even got a shot off against Forest, if I'm correct, and he obviously got the early sub as well. I think you have to say Woltemade at this point. Out of three of them, he seems to be like a bit more involved, and I just think he'll keep getting minutes. And yeah, I'd say as a third striker, whether you'd want him in a two with Haaland, I'm less sure of that. But he's currently kind of operating as my third, even though
Why?
Watkins.
What difference does that make?
I don't know, just
Is it a reliability of expectation?
shot volume for me is not there yet. He's not. He had a few chances. One of them was, I think, if you looked at his XG, it's probably quite high because of the one of the Forest defenders has spilt off him and he volleyed it from like 8 yards out. So it's probably going to look quite high. He's just not got quite the shot volume yet. Newcastle consistently don't find our strikers, which is why like Isak putting the numbers up was as incredible as it was the last few years. We just don't really play towards his strengths. Whereas him being as tall as he is, there is an obvious kind of lump it in the box and he'll probably do something with it, which everyone tried to talk us out of pre-season. Was like when we bought him was like, no, he can't do anything in the air with his head, but he's proved that he can. Yeah, it's just shot volume for me. Away from home, like you might get more Leeds type performances out of him. I think at home he's a pretty good bet. He might be one of those streaky home players, less likely to do stuff away from home.
Is there also though in the sense, and I certainly take on board your next few fixtures, I think are very reasonable. I mean, despite their Jekyll and Hyde nature, I would say your most difficult fixture between now and the next international break is Brighton away. I think that there is every chance you could put 12 points on the board here, so over the next four, despite the fact you've got three away games. They're very winnable games. But after that, you play City, and then the good run of fixtures continues. And I don't think City at home is not terrible. We said this on Monday's pod. The most difficult games you've got on paper, City, Chelsea, Tottenham, they're all at St James's, so they don't even fall into bad games, I think, for particularly the attacking players. And with Gordon, we do kind of know what we're getting moving forward in terms of the minutes. Vissa, for those looking longer term, is we don't know what that looks like. We can all have a guess, but we don't really know yet, right?
No, if Woltemade keeps playing and scoring, then he's not going to come out of the team. There might be a period after Champions League that maybe as soon as his form starts to drop off, he might need to come out of the team for a little bit, just given the workload that's going to be put on him in the next month or so is going to be pretty high, very high. To your point about like hardest games, for me it's going to be away games after the Champions League will be the ones that will potentially slip up in. But I think you've already seen Eddie prepping for that with his five at the back formations. I think we'll be doing more of that away from home, trying to eke out 1-0 wins, 0-0s. Good for the defence, that is, I think. Maybe less so for Gordon and attacking options.
Okay. Would you give any reason for anyone to swap between Gordon and Voltemade? So if you're on Gordon and they're frustrated, any reason to swap or you just continue?
No, I wouldn't do that.
No. Fine. Elanga owners?
Played well in the Champions League, and you could see when he came off, a lot of the coaching staff were trying to G him up. I think there's a confidence issue there. He had a terrible first half against Forest, played better in the second half before he came off. But I feel like it's been a bit of a transition and not a struggle necessarily, but I think going back into quote unquote a bigger club. I think that you could tell he's not quite playing with the same level of freedom. Maybe he's been asked to do more things or different things, and it was easy for him at Forest just to play on the counter. And I think some of his weaknesses have been exposed a bit. Like I was happy with the signing in terms of like his speed and profile. Well, in terms of his speed, but in terms of profile, I've said consistently for like 3 seasons now, the Miggy replacement needed to be a goal scoring right-sided forward for me, which is why Mbeumo was always going to be my first choice for that transfer. And we just went with another tricky, fast winger who I think will get the assists, but needs to really step up for goals. Or, we could be looking at that position again, I think, in a year or two with this Isak money.
Okay. Couple of prediction questions for you both before we do correct score predictions. Sam, next 4 games before the international break: Newcastle at home, United away, Leeds at home, Palace away. How many points do you think for Brighton?
God. Predicting our games it is tricky.
The easiest thing here to say is 5, isn't it? 1 win, 2 draws, 1 defeat. But the defeat will probably be to Leeds and the win will be at Old Trafford, something like that, right?
Sounds about right. Yeah. 5 points, 6 points maybe. Yeah, more inconsistency, I think.
Sam, Si, same question for you. Then four games, admittedly, three of them away: Brighton, West Ham, Brentford. And it's worth saying Fulham won at St James's Park last year as the home game as well. How many points do you think?
Uh, two wins, two draws. I'd say if we're going to lose one, it probably would be this one against Brighton. They definitely had our number last season. So yeah, two wins, two draws.
Okay. Anything in that? Because you did have the two wins at St James's last year, didn't you, Sam? And late Isak, I believe, wasn't it? Si? Last ever goal for Newcastle, was it?
Stan
Was he
Burn,
already
wasn't it?
thrown in the towel at this stage and like intentionally not trying, as some would be led
Yeah,
to
yeah,
believe? And yeah,
maybe. No, every
there's a
every
not the
Isak
views of
goal
Planet
is a
FPL again.
every Isak goal is a Dan Burn goal in my head. So
Anything in that, Sam? Your record against them, I mean, ever so nearly beat them three times last year is the point.
Yeah, no, some good away days last season. Up at St James's. Yeah, yeah, we are. It was probably not. We beat Wolves away last year. We beat Tottenham at home last year. We beat Bournemouth away last year. We beat Everton away last year. My God, we beat Fulham at home last year. Yeah.
So
So no,
what you're saying is
we're a lot
you
worse
haven't
now.
you haven't had any of the same results from
Yeah.
last year. Is that what you're telling me? You also won at Manchester United last year to give you some bad news, and that's the game after.
Oh dear. Yeah. Usual stuff from us. Yeah, it means nothing. Who knows? Who knows what we'll do against Newcastle?
Go on then. Correct score prediction, Sam.
Um, I will say it's been three nils away, isn't it, for Newcastle so far this season? But we haven't kept a clean sheet in 5 months, so 1-1 standard.
Listen, let me tell you, if Perry is fit, I'm playing him. That's a Brighton clean sheet all day long if ever I've seen one, if that happens, mate. No doubt about it. Si, for you?
Minter's he's gonna keep up his record of scoring against us, and it'll be a thing that he does every time he plays us. So I'm gonna go 1-1 as well.
Do you expect it to be full strength, Si, bearing in mind it's Benfica 3 days later? Like are
Yeah,
there a few, if people play certain long minutes, like a Gimrez over the break, might get a break, or
more managed minutes. I think you'll start to see like coming off at 65, that kind of thing. I think he'll start full strength. We need points on the board to get back in the to just feel like we're back in the Champions League places and have that pressure taken off us. The longer it goes on, like we don't want to be getting to like the City game, as you say, at the end of this 4 game week run in the Premier League, and then feel like we're not there or thereabouts. So I think that's probably what Eddie's looking at. Next four, go undefeated, try and obviously win all of them and pick up Champions League points. So I'd say full strength, but 1-1. I wouldn't be surprised if we let off the gas a bit in the last 20 and maybe Brighton get back into it that way.
I mean, ultimately, say you've lost two games to what will very conceivably be the top two, both late on. One of them when you were short a man as well, and it's highly likely that fifth will be enough for a Champions League, which I'm sure even you must have your eye on, Sam, to think that that is achievable. Sam, for the benefit of the audio
Champions
listeners,
League.
went, "Are you fucking joking, James?"
Yeah, I always look at Europe until it's impossible. I would love it. Yeah, we try and stick to that sort of top half as much as we can, and we're not a million miles off where we want to be. It's just got to get a run going, get a few wins. Yeah, who knows? Probably not Champions League. I'll take any Europe.
Yeah, very tough game to call between the two of you, I think. Thank you, gents. Sam, anything you want to plug before you finish?
FPL Seagull on Twitter.
Good man. Si?
Just my new Twitter handle at Isaac Haters Club 1892.
Which has just been reported because it's not real. You can follow site FPL Bibs till he actually changes his handle at our principal. Next week's Clash of Correspondents is Forest versus Chelsea with Mark Southerns, who's got Ange Postecoglou, maybe, and our Chelsea correspondent Gary Mantle. Ask James for you tomorrow at 12 p.m. UK time on YouTube. Join me for that if you can. Just so you say, Sam, Sire, thanks, gents. Good luck. Cue music, please, man child.